My first time in India, just to give you an idea, was in 1994. I remember it was August when I came to Delhi. It was awfully wet, but it was nice. And I came back over the years, over the almost last 30 years, I came back to India many times. And I really feel honored to have my very first speech here in India, here at the Orange City Litfest in the beautiful city of Nagpur. The first thing, I'm not going to talk about my book, even if it's a literature festival, because I want you to read my book. And if I tell you everything that I wrote in the book, you might not read it. So I'm really talking about the power of mind. I'm talking about Shaolin. I'm telling you a bit about what you can do with the power of your mind. Just as an introduction, just to give an idea, I would like you to do an experiment with me. Without doing anything, without doing any physical movements, just try to imagine. Again, do not move with that. Just try to imagine whether you are able to turn your right hand outside and at the same time to turn your right foot inside. Okay, whether you can do this movement outside with the hand and to the inside, to the interior at the same time. Just try to imagine it. I cannot do it, so I cannot show you how it should like, but try to imagine. And now you will be able to imagine that or not. And the moment you have a decision, the moment you know whether you can do it, whether you can imagine to do it, or you cannot imagine to do it, try to do it physically. And I bet that those who could imagine, they can do it physically. Those who cannot do it, they could not even imagine it. Just try it. Just give it a try to do it with the right hand to the outside and to the right foot at the same time to the inside. Anybody here who could do it but not imagine it? Anybody who could not imagine it but could do it? I guess that no. Really? Usually what I want to show you is whatever we cannot imagine, whatever we cannot imagine in our minds, we cannot do in reality. Many people don't see that, and many people think, okay, I cannot imagine, but I will try it, it will work out. It doesn't. I remember, and it's a coincidence, it was the first time I came to India in '94. By then, let's say I tried to stop smoking. I smoked by then, I don't smoke anymore for 25 years, but by then I did. And I wanted to give up smoking. And there was no problem, everything was okay. There was only one thing in my imagination. I could not imagine to be in Vienna, to drink a coffee, and to not smoke a cigarette. That was the only problem. My by then girlfriend, she did not know that I had this problem and I smoked from time to time. So officially I gave up on smoking, and then we went to Asia for a whole year. I did not smoke for a whole year, but all the time in my mind it worked. When I will go back to Vienna, how will I do that? I will drink a coffee and I will have a cigarette. And guess what? After a whole year of not smoking, I came back to Vienna. I went in the coffee shop, sat down, and the first thing I did, excuse me, sir, would you have a cigarette for me? And I restarted smoking. And only after a while, I learned to train my mind to imagine myself sitting in a coffee shop without smoking. And after that, I quit smoking, and I haven't been smoking now for 25 years. So the power of mind says that what we cannot imagine, we cannot do. I know Disney said what you can dream, if you can dream it, you can do it. But the more important thing is it's inverse. If you really want to do a change, if you really want to do things differently, try to imagine them first and try to feel well in your imagination, in your thoughts, in your head. Otherwise, any change will not work. So you might ask me why. There is a principle of nature. Even if we don't want to see it, and even if we, from time to time, we don't want to believe it, that all power comes from within. There is no exterior power. That's impossible. If power could come from the outside, we would be able to keep somebody in life. So nobody would die anymore because we would give them the power of living and people would live, but we cannot. So all the power that supports us, but the power that destroys us, all this power comes from our inner self. And the moment we realize that, we also know that there are no obstacles. Everything that doesn't allow to develop ourselves is in our brain, it is in our mind, it is our own power. It is always the question if we take the decision. People always ask me, how long does it take to change something, to change a behavior, whatever? What do you say? How long does it take? A week, a month, a year, 10 years? Change takes a second. Exactly the second you decide that from now on you are going to do things differently. It will take you a while till this is common, this is you get used to that, that's something else. But how long does it take to change the way you go to work? You make the decision. From now on, I take another way, I walk another way, whatever. It will take its time till you get used to it. But do not think that change takes time. No, change doesn't take time. Change is a decision. So whatever you want to do, even the same thing if people ask me how to be happy. Even happiness is a decision. I decide to be happy. If I decide to be unhappy, I will be unhappy. So all the power comes from within. That's the most important thing we need to remember. And we have something else that is called consciousness. For me, just an idea, consciousness is a tool for change. If there would not be any consciousness in our minds, we would not be able to change anything. For me, that's the main difference. The human consciousness is nothing better, it's nothing worse, it's just a difference, in my opinion, between a human being and an animal. Just as an idea, an animal cannot change its behavior. Let's say a tiger, fascinating animal. And the tiger says, oh, I feel so pity for my victims and for the other animals, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. I'm going to become a vegetarian. A tiger will not become a vegetarian. You offer him or eat some meat, and it will eat it. Me as a human being, I can say, okay, I decide from tomorrow on to become a vegetarian, to eat not any meat. I can say, okay, why do I do things this way or that way? And the moment I am conscious about that, I can change it. So our consciousness, and people always ask me, is consciousness the same as thinking? No, it isn't. Because our consciousness makes it possible that we think about what we think. So if, for example, just to give you an idea, if I have the idea that Indian food is spicy, what it is, very spicy, but I could always think, why do I have this idea? If I think, okay, going to Europe, that might be dangerous, that might be whatever, I always can ask myself, why do you have this idea? And this is very important, because I always say the power of mind, it can go against us. So whenever I make a decision, and I make the decision on the base of some facts, I need to ask myself, why do I believe that? Where does the belief come from that things are this or that way? And many, many, many times, you will say, okay, because I heard it, because I read it in the newspaper, because I whatever. And if somebody tells you, if you say, oh, I want to do this and that, and somebody says, no, that's much too difficult. And from now on, this remains in your brain, and you don't do it, and you don't even try it. It's your mind power going against you. And there is one very important thing, just to tell you, just to give you one example, how powerful our mind is. Our brain has many weak points, let's say like that. And one of the most destructive weak points is the fact that we forget the source of an information more quickly than the information itself. So if I ask you, let's say, what is the capital of India? You say Delhi, of course, no? But who told you that? Why do you know that? Where do you know that from? If I ask you what is the capital of Austria, you might say it's Vienna. You know the fact, but you don't know why you know the fact. Who told you? So you might say, why is this important? You read something in a newspaper, and you know it's propaganda, let's say. And you read it and you say, okay, that's propaganda. So, or he or she is telling me that I cannot do it because he or she doesn't want me to do it. It's propaganda, forget about it. After a while, you only know, yeah, but you read it somewhere, or somebody told you, you don't know who it was, but somebody told you. And after a while, there remains only the fact. Things are like this. The same as you know that Delhi is the capital of India, the same as you know that, or not know that Vienna is the capital of Austria. You do not know where this comes from, but it influences you. If I tell you, if you read somewhere, it's very dangerous to do this or this or this or this or this, it might be very dangerous for your future that you follow your dreams, you forget it. You only live with the fact that things are the way they are supposed to be. And that is the power of mind, and that is the reason why I told you that the power of mind is able to support you, but it's the same power that destroys you. And now just to give you an idea of what is consciousness. I usually, when I do these speeches, I have a very nice photo with me. I didn't bring it with me because you can imagine that. Have you ever seen a kneeling elephant? An elephant kneeling just because he needs to kneel beside a human being. Have you seen that? Probably. Do you really think that an elephant needs to kneel to be on his knees? Or would you think that an elephant is strong enough not to do that? But why does the elephant do that? Why doesn't he fight? Why doesn't he? Because at the very moment, all of his strength is not in his consciousness. The elephant does not know that he is so strong that he could fight against 20 human beings, against 30 human beings, without any problem. But not knowing that, all its strength is useless. So the question is not what talents we have got. The question is what talents are in our minds, in our consciousness. I can be the strongest person on earth. If I think I'm the weakest, what will I be? The weakest. Because everything that doesn't come to my consciousness is like the elephant that is so strong. Or have you ever seen tigers in the circus jumping through rings, stuff like this? You have tigers here in India. You know that a tiger would not necessarily need to jump through a ring. And one of those people working with tigers in the circus once told me, if the tiger would have consciousness, I would be the one who would jump through the ring. And I think he is pretty right with that. So never forget that something you are not conscious of is lost. Just to give you an idea, just to give you an example, imagine you are very, very poor and you have no money and you don't know what to buy to eat and whatever, and you have an aunt. And this aunt, she was very poor too, so she always had very worn clothes and stuff like this, so she didn't look rich. And somebody tells you, just look, maybe your aunt, she left you some money in the kitchen or somewhere. You say, no, I mean, this aunt, she never had money, so why should she leave money for me in the kitchen or hide something? No, there is no reason to look. You know what? In the kitchen, there are 5,000 euros that would save you. So the problem is not that the money is not there, but you're not conscious of the money, and you say, no, there is no reason that she would have done it. So the money rottens in the kitchen, and you don't know what to eat. The important thing is that in our minds, we create our reality. There is no reality. There is the reality in our mind. And the important thing is that we always understand that our mind, our consciousness, creates our reality. And if you make a decision, you would say, okay, I made this decision based on facts. Everybody says that. No, I made a decision based on the fact that things are like this and like that. But let me tell you something. You never make a decision based on facts. You make decisions on what you think that facts are. Would we always make decisions only based on facts? There wouldn't be something like a misunderstanding. she says something to me, and I understand something else. I get her wrong, or him wrong. Okay, so I get really upset. How can he or she say that? But you didn't say that. So I do not get upset because of what you say to me. I get upset because of what goes in my mind. And that is a very important thing, because the moment we understand that with our power of mind, we create our reality, that means that the same power of mind can change our reality. The first, or one of the first persons who really started to work with this mind power, with mind power control, how I call it, were the famous monks of Shaolin. You probably heard about the fighting monks of Shaolin? Do you know where the story started? The story of Shaolin, where the origin of Shaolin was? In India. Of course, everything started in India. In Kerala, you probably heard about Kalaripayattu. That was the martial art, and if you look at Kalaripayattu and if you look at Shaolin Kung Fu, you will see that it's pretty similar. And there was another guy, he was from the south of India too. He wasn't from Kerala, as far as I know, he was from Tamil Nadu, but nobody knows that because there is no proof of his existence. He was called Bodhidharma. And Bodhidharma, he went from India all the way to Luoyang in China, and he wanted to bring Buddhism there. And when he arrived there, he saw Buddhism was there, and Buddhism was flowering, and everything was fine. But Bodhidharma, he was not enlightened the moment he arrived in this monastery. And so he talked to the emperor, and the emperor said, yeah, there is a monastery. It's freshly built, and there is no abbot there, so you can use it if you want. And the monastery was in a hill, and there was a young wood. And the Chinese words for young wood is Shaolin. Shao means young, and Lin is the wood in Chinese. So he came there, and the legend goes that for 9 years he stayed in a cave meditating, and after 9 years he found enlightenment. And he found it a new form of meditation, of religion, however you want to call it. It's called Zen Buddhism, or Chan, how the Chinese call it. But the only problem was that after 9 years of sitting without moving, he was pretty stiff. So he said, okay, I need to perfectionate that. So if all the monks would sit for 9 years and after that they couldn't move anymore. So beside the power of mind, he also showed them the principles of Kalaripayattu. So that is how Kung Fu, or Wushu, how the Chinese people call that, came to China. And they started to bring together the power of mind with the power of the body, but always with the idea of not fighting. So my master in Shaolin, he always said the aim is, the target is to be such a good fighter that you do not need to fight anymore. Anybody of you knows Mike Tyson, the boxer? Yes. Who wants to fight against him? Okay, we have one volunteer. Me not. You know what I mean? Mike Tyson, or I think he's called the Great Khali, the wrestler who's 2 meters 10, an impressive figure. Okay, I would not fight against him neither, without ever having tried. There is no reason to try it, because he doesn't look like I would win. So I better leave it. So that is the idea of Shaolin, when they said you can only win without fighting, because the moment you start fighting, you can lose. So the idea is to prevent any fights just by appearing that strongly that people will avoid fighting with you. Let me return for a second just to give you another idea, as I talked about the power of mind, about your reality. Just imagine a situation in which you are in a room alone and you are playing a pretty hard melody on the piano. But you tried it and you practiced it and you're alone in the room and it works well. And the moment you stop playing, suddenly something very strange happens. The walls disappear, there were curtains, and you see 10,000 people sitting around you and applauding. Wow. So one of the audience, a man, comes to you and says, well, thank you, madam, thank you, sir, it was great how you played it. Might I ask you a favor? Could you play it again? So just enter in this situation, how would you feel? 10,000 people around you? You would be nervous, wouldn't you? But why? Because of the 10,000 people? No, because the 10,000 people were around the first time too. You're nervous because you know about those 10,000 people. So the difference is not whether there are 10,000 people or there are not 10,000 people. The difference is whether you believe that there are 10,000 people. Just imagine you sit alone in this room and somebody comes to you and tells you, just want to tell you, there are 10,000 people sitting around you, even if you don't see them. Would that change your mind? My feelings would be changed. So the most important thing that makes us influenceable is what I call receptors. People always tell me, okay, but if somebody says something bad about me, I cannot not react. I mean, I cannot accept that, no? But just imagine, and it's the same for me as for you. If I would talk something really bad about you here in German language, German is my mother language, would you be affected? But why not? You cannot accept bad words. You are only affected the moment you understand what I say. So that is what I call receptors. It has nothing to do with what people talk about me. For me, that was always funny when traveling through Asia. People, they really yielded at me. I have no idea what they wanted, and the only thing I could do was laughing because they cursed me and whatever, but I had no idea what the guy, or they usually were guys, what they wanted, so I was not affected. Would the same situation have been in Austria? Oh, there would have been another outcome of the situation. So the question again is not what people do, the question is what we understand, what comes to our consciousness. And once again, we can change it. If somebody yells at me, if somebody curses me, whatever, if somebody provokes me, in my mind, I imagine the person is talking to somebody standing behind me. And if somebody would yell to someone standing behind me, I would not be affected. I would probably be amused. So, once again, our mind power would help us, or my mind power would help me to let things through, simply. So, there is another thing people often ask me. Do you talk about, or is your topic positive thinking? You probably all heard about positive thinking. And I say, yes, of course it's my topic, because I love positive thinking. For me, positive thinking is the only way of thinking. But I do not like the idea, I really dislike the idea of seeing something good and everything bad. So people look at me, so how that? I mean, positive thinking means that you see always the bright side of life and all the good things. I will tell you why. If we always see something good in something bad, that prevents change. We will never change anything. Just imagine that I destroy my trousers, and now there is a big hole in the trousers. But this positive thinking, as people get it, I say, okay, but I'm the only one who has these trousers with these special holes. And I will not change it. Let me tell you something. Positive thinking has nothing to do with good and bad. The word positive, and that's very important, because otherwise you will not understand why I say I'm a huge fan of positive thinking and I don't like to see the good and the bad. The word positive has its origin in an old language that doesn't exist anymore. It's like Sanskrit for India, it's Latin. And in Latin they have a word, it's called ponere, and the perfect is positus, which in English language will be translated to put, simply. Positus and put, it's the short form of positus, and put means to put. It doesn't mean beautiful, and it doesn't mean bad, and nice, nothing. Put means to put. So positive thinking means that we know what we want. Negative thinking, to deny, means we know what we do not want. That's all. Just let me give you an example. And let's say a guy who is a positive thinker and another guy who is a negative thinker, they come to a restaurant. Comes the waiter or the boss and says, guys, what may I serve you? The positive thinker would say, okay, I would like the chana masala, but not that spicy if possible because I don't eat spice, very spicy. And then the coffee, but with little milk. And then just bring me something sweet, whatever, gulum or I don't know how you call it, but no sugar sauce if possible. So what will the guy get? Exactly what you ordered. Comes the negative guy. What will the negative guy say? The waiter will ask him, okay, what can I help you? What can I bring you? Oh, I have no idea. What do you have? Waiter goes to the kitchen. Okay, from yesterday there are some noodles. They would need to be eaten. No, I don't like noodles. And then what else do we have? Yeah, this biryani, chicken biryani. No, I don't eat meat. No, I don't want this. And then we have the rest of this gulum. No, that's much too sweet. I don't like it. The negative guy, what will he get? Nothing. It's that easy. But did you observe something else? What did the waiter offer to the negative thinking guy? All the rest, whatever needed to be eaten, of course. The most important thing to understand about positive thinking is that people who think negative always have to choose from the options positive thinking people create. And as Indian people are very good with IT, there is a company, a huge company, not an Indian company, that lives from the fact that they are positive thinkers. What company could they be? It's Google. You put a question, Google gives you 10 answers. No. Okay, there is no solution. It's that easy. If Google doesn't want you to know something, they simply don't show it. It's that easy. Because you only say no. You only know what you do not want to know, and you do not know what you want to know. So the very important thing with positive thinking is, even if it's challenging, that we stop only knowing what we do not want, and that we start knowing what we do want. And you will see this will change your life. As there is something else. Have you ever heard about the law of attraction? So what does the law of attraction mean? The law of attraction means that we get more of what you already have. It's very easy. So let's say there is a beggar, somebody who lives on the street, and there is a king. Who gets the presents? The king. The one with the money gets more money. The one with no money gets no money. It's that easy. But now we're not only talking about money, we are talking about mindset. And the simple thing is that with your mindset, and you can see that in everyday life, you will attract people that think the same way you do. They think the same way you think. Just imagine a group of very, very happy people, and the person who has, and everything, and life is so bad, whatever. Will that person feel attracted by these happy people? No, of course not. And the same, will a happy person feel attracted by a group of very, very sad people who have nothing to do than to complain the whole day? No, they will not. So we will always attract people that think the same way we think. Otherwise, it's uninteresting. We usually feel better with people talking the same language than us. That's a natural thing. But we always need to keep in mind that the law of attraction says that we attract what we think. If we are happy, we will attract happiness. If we are sad, if we are complaining, we will attract motives to complain even more. As I have 5 more minutes, and I was told to give you the possibility to ask some questions, for the end I would like to show you something practically again for the power of mind. And I would like to get you up. And please try to have space that you can do this without anybody needing a dentist.
As you said, what we cannot imagine, we cannot do. But in life, we end up in situations that we didn't even imagine of. So how do we deal with the situations in that with our mind?
It's not about pre-imagination. It's not about preparation. Even if we have a situation in life and we have a really, really hard challenge, and we say, okay, there is no solution. There is no solution. That's what I mean. It doesn't mean that we know everything before, or that we need to, or we could know everything before. But if I say I cannot do it, I will not try it. So that's the main thing, you know. So if your preparation, your mind power goes against you, and you say, okay, no, there is no way out of this situation, and you probably know. I mean, let's say people in very, very challenging situations. Some of them, they go further, and some of them die. And many of them die because they have no imagination that there could be a way out. So they don't even try.
And like, as you said, you have practiced Kung Fu. Like, are you still practicing it?
Yeah, I'm still practicing, yeah.
And like, how was your experience at the Shaolin temple?
For me, it was an overwhelming experience, to be very honest. It was in 1996. That was my first time when I came to Shaolin. I started training Shaolin Kung Fu when I was 13. But it was really, really overwhelming because I never saw martial arts at this level. I never had seen that before. I never had seen people with that abilities of fighting that I saw in China by then.
Like, are you practitioner, like, or you wanted to become a fighter monk? Like,
sorry, again?
Do you practice, you do practice Kung Fu, okay?
Yeah.
But do you want to become a monk there?
No, I do not want to become a monk there because for the first, it's not possible. For a foreigner, it's not possible to become a real Shaolin monk. And to be very, very honest, I'm not even a Buddhist. So I'm fascinated by all the religions. And as Buddha said, believe only what you proved right for yourself. So for me, it's not the idea to have a book and to read in a book how things go. To be very honest, that is one thing I really, really love in India. I'm a big fan of Lord Shiva, to be very honest, because for me, he's the symbol of change and all this stuff. And so, no, that was not my idea. My idea was to learn from them and to practice with them and to get the ideas.
Yes. Like, and if I were to go to Shaolin temple, how would I go there?
You can go there. It's very easy because Shaolin Temple is a museum today. Shaolin Temple stopped existing in the old way when the old abbot died. Shaolin stopped existing in about 2005, 2006. So my last time in Shaolin was in 2019. Yeah, in 2019. But by then it was a museum. There is no living Shaolin anymore.
Okay. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, I want to ask you a question that how to stop procrastinating anything. Like I set a goal of doing 6 hours study. So I started procrastinating it. Like now I find excuses. Like if I didn't do it right now, I can do it tomorrow. And tomorrow again the same thing. So how can I stop this?
So every writer knows that problem. You know, as a writer, you don't have you have a publisher that wants your manuscript, but exactly as you said, what I did, what I personally did is I try to fix things I see every day with my work. So whenever I see a cup of tea, for example, let's say it, I remember myself, okay, that means you have to do that. And the moment you train that whenever you see the cup of tea and you feel bad because you didn't do it, you will start doing it because it's easier than feeling bad all the time you see a cup of tea, a window, whatever it might be. It might be the grass, whatever. You just need to to fix, to make a, oh yeah, I don't find the English word now. A reference, yeah, a reference between between the work you have to do and something you always see, and you will see you feel bad because, let's say it's a lamp, and whenever you see a lamp, oh, I should have done it, and the moment you do it once and you feel better after that, you will see that that works perfectly. For me, at least, it works perfectly. So I always have the same problem. I'm very, very good in procrastinating. So that's why my actual book, I finished it the day before yesterday. It should have been finished in October. So I know what you're talking about, but that is what I do. I just make a reference between these two things, and when I see them, oh yeah, okay, I will do it because I don't want to feel bad.
Good afternoon, sir. Energy. Like you talked about the positive thinking and negative thinking, but I consider it as a positive energy and negative energy. So I would like to ask you one question like, do you believe in paranormal activities? Or what's your opinion on this?
Yes, I would not call it paranormal, that's all. Yeah, of course I do believe.
Because I have seen many web series and many movies in, like they talk about the paranormal activities. So I would like to clear my doubts on this.
I'm sure that there are many things we cannot see, and we cannot hear, and we cannot taste, but there are. I believe in intuition. I believe in energy, because every information is energy. We could not transfer information without energy. People always think, when I talk about energy, people think of something esoteric and something strange, but every information, even now I talk to you, it's energy. So there are many, many things we cannot see, we cannot hear, whatever, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist.
So do you think this is fictitious or real? Means you are denying that this doesn't happen?
It does happen, of course it does. Yes, it does. I believe it does. There are many things that happen, we cannot see them, but it doesn't mean they don't happen. We cannot see a tree growing, but it grows. We see the result, but we cannot watch the tree growing. But this is nothing paranormal. It's something we cannot see, but it happens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for this amazing session. First of all, I have a question specifically on meditation. I've done it for a while, but I'm confusing about it. What is meditation? Is it observing ourselves, or is it asking questions to ourselves? How we get wisdom or enlightenment through meditation?
So for me, or let's say that the Shaolin tradition of meditation is neither nor. I always explain meditation like this. Just imagine you sit in a park, okay? And you watch people passing by. And those people, they talk to each other. So one says, yeah, and no, I cannot stand this guy and I will blah, 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 blah. And then there comes somebody else who says, yeah, and I'm so very, very happy and I feel so good because this is, wow, it is so nice and I will, and they go. And this is the same with your thoughts. So you do not have the idea to run after these people and ask him, excuse me, what did you talk about? No, you just listen, you say, okay, he's angry, he is happy, he is anxious, he is unhappy, whatever. But you don't judge it. And that is meditation. You just have your thoughts and you don't stay here with me. No, no, you don't amplify them. You just see them come, a feeling, a good feeling, a bad feeling, and let it go. And for me, that is the most important thing in meditation. For me, meditation is a tool to get rid of all my emotions, because emotions are the worst thing we can have, especially when it comes to a fight. So for me, that is meditation. And when you do that and listen to those people, just listen without judging them, you will learn more about yourself too. It's just letting go our thoughts. I can give you two short examples, because I know that we are in a time crisis in a way. On the one hand side, it's pretty easy to prove it. Just try to make push-ups, okay? And try to say, I will make 10 push-ups. Yeah, that's your idea. You will make 10. And then try to make 15. You cannot. After 10 push-ups, you will feel that your arms are like this. They are like butter, like pudding, okay? If you say, I will make 100, you will not do 100, but you will do 25. Because your mind, the moment you say, oh, it's difficult, something happens in your mind. And just one general thing about it, because people always ask me, is there a connection between the mind and the body, the brain? People don't seem to know that, but the brain makes part of the body. It's not that the brain is flying beside us, connected by Wi-Fi. The brain is part of the body. So when we think, it is a physical thing and something happens in our body. And just to give you a concrete example, it was a couple of years ago, Irene and I, we were in Hong Kong. And it was foggy. It was very foggy, and we went up to a mountain, okay? And it was so foggy that we could not see more than 20 meters. And if we would have seen that mountain, how high it was, we would never have climbed it. But just because of the fact, we always said, oh, it might be 10 more minutes. Okay, let's go 10 more minutes. It was no problem. We reached there without being exhausted. But if we would have seen, wow, here, no, we would not have had the power. So there is a very, very, very huge impact. But again, try it with the push-ups. Try to set you a limit, and you will see you cannot overcome this limit. You set yourself. Especially when circumstances do not allow me to think positive. I need to think positive because I always have two possibilities, okay? I can think, I can complain, or I can try to find a solution. That's the main thing. The moment I say, okay, let's say there is a fire here, and I say, oh, there is a fire, there is no way to get out here, I will burn, I will die. That's that easy. There is no way of positive thinking. But if I say, okay, the only thing I need to do is reach that door, that's what I need to do. I have a solution. It does not mean there is no guarantee that I will survive, but there is a guarantee that I will die when I don't do it. So, especially when my circumstances, but it's not about circumstances, it's about goals. Things will be arranged. To be very honest, that's the last thing I tell you now. I wrote the book Shaolin in 2007. And the book was translated in 14 languages till now, but not in English. Because it's very, very hard to enter the English-speaking market. Americans don't want, whatever, they don't want translations, whatever. So all the circumstances were against me, and it were Indian people in a way who saved me. So I never ever, to be very honest, I never ever would have thought that my English book will be published in India. And I'm very happy it is the way it is. And by the way, again, I'm very happy that I had the honor to have you here today. Thank you.